We have a standard for that position regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. We have a very, very high standard.
The Cleveland Browns are one play away from talking about one of these two kids starting. And the scary thing is, instead of preparing them and getting them ready to play and getting them ready to be a guy that's going to back up a 41-year-old quarterback, you play games and have them.
They just didn't want to make a hard decision, right? The figuring out who's going to be number two is going to be a difficult decision. It would have been a much harder decision to figure out which one of those young men would start. And when you look at what the Cleveland Browns are doing, this is why people spin the block in relationships, right? You remember, hey, man, I had a great relationship with this person. Then I moved to this person and it wasn't so good. This person's available on the market again.
The Cleveland Browns just shook the NFL world, naming 40-year-old veteran Joe Flacco as their Week 1 starting quarterback. Now, on the surface, that might not sound shocking given Flacco's experience and proven track record. But here's where things get heated. 23-year-old rookie Shedeur Sanders, who lit up the preseason with 14 completions on 23 attempts for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, has been pushed aside. An oblique injury sidelined Sanders, but instead of this being a temporary setback, it feels like his opportunity was taken right out from under him. Head coach Kevin Stefanski says the team has very high standards and that Sanders doesn't yet fit that vision. But that statement has only fueled more questions. Is this really about winning right now with a seasoned veteran, or does it expose a lack of long-term vision for the future? Critics like Garrett Bush haven't minced words, calling it exactly what it seems: playing games with a young guy. And it's not just the fans who are upset. Many analysts are questioning whether the Browns just stalled the growth of their most promising rookie quarterback. Is this move a temporary bridge to stability, or a complete roadblock standing in the way of a potential future star? But before we dive deeper into the discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Your support goes a long way in helping us create content like this.
But if they don't play, Swag, how do you know? Like even if they're at practice and like Jason said, we're seeing them do well against the ones playing well in 7-on-7, it's still practice.
We're talking about practice.
But RC,
not the game.
That's the question that I'm asking.
Ryan Clark didn't sugarcoat a thing. He came right out and said Shedeur Sanders hasn't been given the fair shot he deserves. And honestly, he has a point. How can the Browns realistically plan for life after Joe Flacco if they won't even let Sanders prove himself in meaningful game action? Clark emphasized a key fact. Every time Sanders has been tested in practice, he's risen to the occasion. Calm under pressure. Sharp, accurate throws. The kind of leadership qualities teams dream about in a franchise quarterback. But without real game snaps, no one can truly gauge just how high his potential goes. Garrett Bush took it even further. He was blunt, saying Kevin Stefanski simply doesn't care about doing what's best for the team's future. Instead of grooming his rookie quarterback, Stefanski has relegated Sanders to the sidelines with assistants, while piling reps onto 41-year-old Joe Flacco, a move that could backfire instantly if Flacco goes down injured. And for Garrett, this isn't an isolated misstep, it's a recurring theme. He argues this is exactly how the Browns keep sabotaging themselves, setting the stage for another season to collapse before it even gets going. Once again, the team seems to be dropping the ball, leaving fans to ask, did they really learn nothing from past mistakes?
You play games and have them thrown on a side field with support staff. This is the stuff that the Cleveland Browns drop the ball on every single time. They worry about the wrong stuff.
Garrett nailed it. This is becoming a clear pattern. If you watched Kevin Stefanski's latest press conference, you couldn't miss it. The coach looked uneasy the moment Shedeur Sanders' name came up. That hesitation said more than words ever could. When reporters pushed him on why he suddenly decided to play his starting quarterback in the third preseason game, a move he completely avoided last season, his response was shaky at best. We do what the players need, but let's be real. That's not the kind of firm, confident answer you want to hear from a head coach who's supposed to be leading a team. That's not leadership. That's dodging the question. And it just makes the speculation louder. Maybe the Browns really don't have a clear plan for Shedeur Sanders. If that's true, this goes beyond a quarterback debate. What we're actually seeing might be a leadership crisis brewing right at the top.
In week 1. And then this year, just feel like that's what this team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
But now, Kevin Stefanski has come out and drawn a firm line, saying Shedeur Sanders simply isn't up to the Browns' standards. In other words, Stefanski is indirectly telling everyone that Sanders has never been good enough to meet the bar they've set. And that statement is massive. It's not just about one rookie quarterback anymore. It's about what kind of culture and vision the Browns are building. By publicly framing Sanders as not good enough, Stefanski is essentially shutting the door before it's even fully opened. For fans and analysts, this feels less like tough coaching and more like dismissing a player who has shown flashes of promise.
We have a standard for that position regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. We have a very, very high standard.
Here's the bottom line. Shedeur Sanders hasn't been given a real shot. No meaningful snaps. No reps with the first-team offense. So how does that match up with Stefanski's claim about doing what the players need? If the Browns are serious about developing young talent, keeping Sanders parked on the sidelines just doesn't add up. Fans are growing impatient, and honestly, who can blame them? The one quarterback they're excited about, the one who feels like the future of the franchise, hasn't even been given the opportunity to prove himself on the field. Instead of reassuring people, Stefanski's comments are starting to sound more like excuses. And instead of giving clarity, his responses are only fueling more doubt, more frustration, and bigger questions about what direction the Browns' quarterback situation is really headed.
So your quarterback didn't play?
Last year?
Yeah, Watson.
Yeah.
The uncertainty around Stefanski's choices just keeps growing. When he was pressed again about the quarterback situation, his response was short and vague. "We'll make that call in a couple of days." But let's be real. Deciding your starter on such a tight timeline doesn't look like a solid strategy. It looks like stalling. And fans see right through it. This doesn't feel like a real quarterback competition. It feels like yet another way to push Shedeur Sanders into the background. Stefanski's unclear answers don't inspire confidence. Instead, they sound like delay tactics, stalling for time, rather than showing any kind of decisive leadership. And in the NFL, indecision can be just as costly as making the wrong call.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming a Week 1 starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
At the end of the day, the Browns' quarterback situation has become less about football and more about leadership, or the lack of it. Kevin Stefanski's repeated hesitation, vague answers, and refusal to give Shedeur Sanders real opportunities have raised more questions than solutions. Fans aren't blind. They see a talented rookie quarterback who has shown poise, accuracy, and potential every time he's been tested, yet continues to be buried behind Joe Flacco. While Flacco brings experience and stability, the Browns must ask themselves, is clinging to a short-term veteran fix worth stunting the growth of a player who could define their future? The reality is simple. If Shedeur Sanders never gets real game reps, no one will ever know what he's capable of becoming. Instead of grooming him into the role, Stefanski's decisions risk sending a message that the Browns are unwilling or unable to invest in their future. That's not just frustrating for fans. It's demoralizing for the locker room and dangerous for the franchise. Because if leadership at the top keeps dodging accountability and vision, then this isn't just about one quarterback. It's about the Browns repeating the same cycle of missteps that has held them back for years. What do you think, Browns fans? Did Kevin Stefanski make the right call by sticking with Joe Flacco? Or is he holding back Shedeur Sanders from becoming the future face of this franchise? Should the Browns focus on winning right now, or start investing in their long-term quarterback? Do you believe this is just smart coaching or a sign of poor leadership? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your take.